Yeah, that sounds better.
There we go. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you
Yes,
now.
we can.
Perfect. All right, I'm gonna go back to mute.
Near a gas station dumpster. He says they will remove it and put on a feeding plan and will be put up for adopted state. That can be a good thing. Director is going on, following strong orders, as long as they operate for as long way through the issue. Refuse to set back the moment of withdrawal. Following strong orders, carrying CES and asking to be international space station. The mission is actually in a new era of space competition as Boeing looks to take on Elon Musk. SpaceX. Also tonight, the dangerous speedway over 30 million delivered California to Texas for temperatures proof-rate records. The dramatic testimony of
Stand by, go ahead.
Oh, Ryan, you gonna be able to share what you work on? Hi, everybody. Ryan, can you hear us? Not looking like you can. Ryan, you there?
Oh, me, I thought you said Brian. I was like, yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Sorry.
Hi. Will you be able to share what you worked on?
Yeah, I did. I sent a copy over to Chris as well.
Oh,
Yep, I got Ron's, and then John, I have what you sent me a little bit ago.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
I didn't have the original PowerPoint, so I just took an old version and added to that.
Specific slides or a bunch of things?
Just slides. So that I had the action to do a couple sections. And so I went back actually to some of the old slide presentations and tried to pull up what I needed.
And I just sent it, Mark, I just sent it over to you just a little bit ago.
Okay.
Actually, let me.
Oh,
Oh, Nora and Michael.
And John,
John Parsons not coming.
Yeah, John Parsons won't be here.
you all right?
Yes. Just a few of this.
Fun. Oh, sorry, last night's meeting closed.
Did you drop these at my house?
I did not. Unless it's something really cool and good, then yes.
These were all the last time site visit worksheets.
Oh.
Did Jenna drop them?
Nope, she's somewhere in the British Virgin Islands still, so, yeah, I dropped them.
They showed up in my doorway, and I was just like, oh, maybe Chris threw them by.
I had to get you something, so I just, I don't know who did it.
So I don't see anything from you, Chris, other than like meeting notes. Agenda, meeting notes.
Just sent you over.
All right,
Oh,
John.
JAS inputs. I got the JAS inputs. Okay,
Were you copied on Ron's thing today?
no,
no.
I think I was.
you think I was?
I thought you were.
I have my version of it here, but
Let's see, who was it?
when did you send it? I get so many emails, it could just be. What time today? Oh, crap.
Yeah, you were copied, 3:46 PM. I can send it again if you.
3:46 PM?
Yeah, this afternoon.
Which email?
Three.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. This is all emails. I don't have it.
It says recalc meeting notes, May 30th, 2020.
3:51 is something. Thanks, Ron. Now I got it. So let me close the other one.
Should we start,
Okay.
do we have enough people?
Yes, we do. We have a call. And it wasn't in the paper, so other people, the public might not.
It's posted on the website.
Right, no, but when they had a list, in the Chronicle, was it yesterday or Monday of the
Of all the meetings?
upcoming meetings? It wasn't in that, but.
Hmm.
Okay, so Ron Asini, this is
Yes.
roll call. Means Nora Bucko.
Hello, can you
Hi,
hear
Nora.
me?
Yeah,
Hi.
we can hear you.
Okay,
All right, very good. Michael Coltman. I know Michael. Mark Doxer.
Here.
Parsons, we understand will not be here. John Sasso
Present.
and John O'Neill present. Okay. And entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the May 30th meeting.
So moved.
Well, I have,
Since I didn't see them, but I noticed on here, did you get my name right on the minutes?
first name or last name?
Last name.
Well, I did not, I may have gotten it wrong.
Okay. All right.
John's name.
Okay, so can I take 1 minute to just,
Sure.
so hang on, so I've got agenda, okay, meeting note, these are the minutes from 5:30?
Yes.
Okay, just take a.
Yeah,
Put it
it's
up.
actually pretty small. It's just the work that we did on,
Right.
Yeah.
I'm fine with them as written.
Okay. Any other additions, corrections, deletions? Seeing none, we'll take a vote on approval. Ron Asini,
Yes.
Nora Bucko,
yes,
Mark Doxer.
Yes.
John Sasso
yes,
and John O'Neill, yes. Okay, finalizing the slide presentation for the select board.
So let's talk a little bit about kind of where we are and what's going on.
Okay.
And if I can lean on you, Chris, a little bit, because you were at the meeting on Monday night of PBC.
Yeah, so was Nancy and Marilyn. So.
Okay, so the essence is the following, and please feel free to add. The PBC has agreed to accept the project as a town project. That's great. So that's check. Select board last night had a discussion about membership. Nominally, it's 2 people. The select board doesn't actually appoint. It's a specific appointment committee. The appointment committee is the chair of the select board, the chair of the school committee, and the town moderator.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see kind of what's there. We did talk about recommendations for people, 3 potentials, a select board member, a COA member, and a community member.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they said 2, anyway, we gave advice. So that committee will now meet because it's actually a real committee now that exists because they've accepted the project. So that's good. They also did not feel ready to make any kind of recommendation,
Which is not surprising. Yeah.
which is not surprising. And so I brought up at the select board meeting last night, that's the situation, and how do they want to deal with it? Did they want Recalc to make their final presentation on June 18th? Before we have heard back from PBC. And essentially, although it was almost midnight, literally,
Oh, jeez.
the feedback was, no, keep Recalc going for a little bit longer. So we're gonna vote at the next meeting on a motion to extend for 60 days. The feeling being that that's enough time for PBC to take some steps.
Sure, okay.
And depending on what PBC does, I think at their next meeting or 2 would define either that that's the right approach or that's the wrong approach. Stop, present where we are, what we've done, maybe even present our recommendation and saying it's pending kind of PBC. There were questions about what will PBC do? Are they going to kind of veto something? And my description was that they're more likely to offer suggestions on things that need to get done. If there's a showstopper of some sort, great. Well, not great, but share it. And that's not what would happen.
Done like the testing.
Yeah, so there was some discussion on that, and I think the select board is going to take up probably at their next meeting on the 18th, a discussion of what that means. And if there's a way to do it without slowing down momentum. And the mechanism's a little bit TBD, but if we wait for town meeting, that means waiting till November, which is to me, a stop of momentum.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, how does that affect the work that the architects are supposed to be doing into phase 3?
So the select board is expecting Recalc to make a site recommendation. They now feel that it would be great to have the PBC's input
Sure.
on that as well.
Mhm.
That site recommendation approval allows BHNA to go forward.
Right, so that's my question was that, are they at this point at a stop until that's done, or do they still have things they're working on, or?
Great question for BHNA to see exactly where they are, but my guess is that they could start talking about the interior now. Although not completely, in other words, we talked about kind of site-focused kinds of stuff.
Right.
And what an envelope of a building might look like.
Yeah.
Now, it may be more kind of an inside discussion with a drop of risk, but 2 out of 3 of the options are the same in terms of the building.
Basically,
Yeah. So I think perhaps we could have them do that and keep some momentum that way. Maybe that's a good next step on things.
And it seems like everyone on Monday night wanted, they kept bringing up the momentum. They wanted to make sure, and they want to get an OPM,
Oh, so let's talk about that.
through GNAP.
Who is the current, so let me take one step back.
Go ahead.
So nominally, a project before going to schematic drawings, the town would hire an owner's project manager,
right, you would
OPM,
hire the,
before going to a feasibility study.
Yeah.
And so that's what the school did, also because they have the step-by-step
Right.
guidebook, which we don't. So the select board moved forward with not having an OPM at that point. So we've talked to town council about this. Town council's recommendation is, well, you should have an OPM at least for this phase now. And you could have a different one when it moves forward past, to a full project or not. So PBC talked about this and town manager, there were a bunch of discussions about it. And we have what's called the house doctor arrangement for architectural services from a company called GNAP. And they do a bunch of things. They did the early drawings and renderings that we all saw for a new, and Walgreens specifically. Yeah, exactly right. So they're on something of a contract to work with the town. So there's a good relationship between the town and them already.
Like a retainer or?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, like a retainer. In addition, PBC has a little bit of funding available. And if I understand correctly, they kind of offered to use some of that funding toward hiring the OPM for this phase and to use GNAP to do that. It would not require per discussion, I believe, a town council, but I got that through the town manager, that it would not require bidding or any other activity to take place for this portion of it. So that, I think, is the direction they're going in. We talked about using potentially a staff member. No one has time without kind of diverting stuff.
Mhm.
So it was either divert or GNAP or a third option. So that's kind of where things are right now with the OPM. Thank you. I forgot about that piece. So that would put us more into a traditional approach.
I know that's to satisfy like your regulations, but what actual role at this stage is that person going to have, or that?
So they in a sense are guiding the drawings, the schematic drawings, guiding that process. There is a permanent building committee that is responsible for it. The OPM would be a key presenter to that group, but the OPM is kind of driving, BHA is doing, and the building committee is kind of assuring that everything is happening to meet the needs as they see them.
Okay.
Needs for, at this point, site schematics, et cetera.
If one more, who's guiding the OPM? Because how do they?
Building committee.
The building committee.
Yeah, OPM is going to report to the building committee, basically.
Okay.
so we've done it entirely backwards.
Yes.
No, not entirely.
Not entirely. Okay,
Just a little different than kill them.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, and we,
But from Monday, everyone realized that. But everyone also wants to keep the momentum going, which was really encouraging.
That's why I was asking that question.
Yeah,
Because that's the
yeah.
same thing. I was thinking like, you don't want to kind of stop and then
Yeah.
have to figure out how
Yeah.
to restart again, so.
Right, and that was encouraging from everyone from the permanent building committee. They understood they want to keep the momentum going. And then the other thing that was discussed, I feel like quite a bit was, which is, I think, going to kind of hold us up, is we need to get the soil, we gotta figure out the soil at Simon's Way. That kept coming up, and we were trying to figure out when that kind of should be done, and it seemed like sooner a little bit rather than later, because
Would the OPM
know.
be in charge of?
I think the PBC would be in charge of that.
but they were trying to figure out the correct timing on the soil testing. And because, I mean,
How can they make a recommendation unless they do that?
exactly.
I think it's the catch-22.
What's
Yeah.
holding them up from doing it at this point?
Well, you need money, number one.
We're talking. like,
So $9,000 covers it. However, I think what the select board will discuss, what I suggested to the select board we want to discuss is not just the area we're talking about, but potentially also behind the ice rink. Because,
I know, I understand.
yeah, if the town's gonna move forward,
Right,
In that
I don't
area,
care what you're gonna do. If
Right.
people are gonna be there,
right.
right, might as well.
people are gonna, yes.
Sure.
So it may be that that's a separate action, or it may be that it's a together. I think that there may be a quote in process to understand what the impact is of the second piece through the town, to just see what that would be.
And I think we all want to get it done. But also at the same time, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, I think everyone's a little
Concerned,
concerned is a good word.
Yeah.
Is,
That has to be done.
exactly.
yeah, but it could open up a liability. So I think that at least the select board needs to have a discussion about that.
No, I absolutely.
It's an and, it's not an or, sorry.
I know.
It's an and.
I get it. I
Yeah,
get it.
it has to happen, and we kind of knew it, and now we have a process and we have experts guiding it. Good. So I think the select board needs to have a discussion, so the town needs to lead it, select board needs to discuss it, I think. And then you have to talk about funding for the testing itself. I think that need to learn what it means if they find certain things, what remediation is, when, how, who. It all depends on what they find, ranging from nothing to problem.
Depends on what they find. It depends on what you plan on actually doing on. the
Doing,
site.
right, on the
There's
property, yeah.
Lots of variables in
Yeah,
that.
do you need to remove, do you need to
Right.
cover, do you
Right.
need to, who knows what, right? So it's an unknown box, but I think that the select board at least should have eyes open and then see where it goes from there.
And also-
then how to pay for it.
And it also sounded like even if they don't put a center there, but just do pickleball, kind of sounded like they still need to
Yeah,
test
people.
stuff.
Anybody, you're gonna put people there, you gotta know what the hell's going on.
Radiation would be different because then you're
Yeah.
covering it, so, yeah.
And that's okay to understand, and it may, different things could say, oh, well, don't do that here, but do it there.
That's actually, I think, the more likely scenario is that if you do find things in certain areas, it may guide you to adjust what things go where based on what you can do for
Mhm.
mitigations and what the approach is. So I
Yeah, so I was part of a phone call with one of the people that bid on the project on doing the soil remediation. And they're feeling that the chances of finding something are low, not zero,
Mhm.
but low, given that location, given everything that's gone on in the different places. At least as it relates to from a Nike site, or from the rifle range. If there are other things that are there, that's a different story. But from what they saw in the initial findings, their feeling was the risk was low of finding something really bad. Not zero,
Right.
but low. At the end of the day, low isn't good enough. So I think that's where we are.
don't want to be digging and finding something and then have to deal with it after the fact.
Yeah, and to pick a site and make a blunder that way.
Yeah.
If we can prevent it. So on the good side of things, getting PBC involved in the site aspects and having their expertise there was a forward progress.
No, I think, we kind of knew that, right? I think we, a couple months ago, fostered out the idea that this is where this was gonna end up, and I think this is a good transition point. And so regardless of what happens, we should stay true to our objective, which is let's summarize all the things we've done, package it up, and that's really what we have to do. That's what we've been asked to do. And then that information can be used by whoever for whatever focus and purposes. I think we should have an opportunity to sit in front of select board and provide some other outputs and feedback on top of the what could be a site selection, because I think there's a lot still in there. And that's what as I was going through that in the stuff I was doing today, I realized, okay, there's still some more stuff here that is worth, exposing to the community in terms of things that we've done and what I think, even just continuing with the site visits that you guys did, it may not have been a lot, but there were some nuggets in there, I thought, of good things. So.
Yeah. And so on the transportation side, there might be a new something to explore that Chris and I talked about briefly yesterday, was it?
Yeah, I think Salem
Salem Skipper
Skipper.
is a series of minibuses scooting around Salem, giving $2 rides inside the city. $1 for seniors, $2 for other people, $3 after 7 PM. Potentially run by an outside company. We have to explore it a little bit more, but the notion of whatever the community is doing, that was really, that one popped because my father-in-law might be a potential user of it, so I might be able to get some firsthand feedback on it, so.
And that came up on Monday's meeting too, it's not necessarily building committee's role, but it was brought up in questions, the impact of, Simon's Way being on the far end of town. Transportation needs, it was also brought up on emergency needs, especially particularly for seniors, so. There were a handful of questions like that was discussed, not necessarily it's, like I said, not necessarily it's their role, but building committees thinking about those things. I don't know what that means though. And then the other thing that was discussed on Monday is, and I think they have an understanding, just like Recalc COA, that it seems to be the preferred site, Simon's Way, but with Oakland Road being a really close second. And then Pleasant Street Center kind of a distant third. So. Just like that, and then all those things were discussed on Monday.
So then did they? Okay,
No, go ahead, John.
no, I was gonna, did they, given that, and some of the questions about Simon's Way, there would be questions about Oakland Road too, as far as, the ledge and that sort of thing. So was that talked about?
It was briefly because they did mention that all 3 sites would have to be looked at. I think the bigger concern was the soil at Simon's Way. Because I think it's a little bit of a different beast, if that's the right wording. Whereas in ledge, we know there's ledge.
We also know where it is.
And we know where it is. Simon's Way, we kind of know what's already at Pleasant Street Center. Simon's Way is just kind of an unknown. So I think that's the difference. And that was talked about, but because Simon's Way is more of an unknown, that was more of the topic a little bit.
Yeah. Was it more questions than answers? In other words, did Joel answer a bunch of the questions like emergency access? I know we've looked at blah, blah. Was it more get a list of their concerns and we'll come back with some answers?
More of a list of he answered some things. I can't remember all of them. Like the emergency services and stuff that was just brought up. It wasn't really discussed. Other than, the fact that, it's going to take probably closer to 5 minutes for emergency services to get to Simon's Way and maybe 2 minutes to get to Oakland Road, so that wasn't really in-depth discussion. Only because a lot of it doesn't pertain to building committee.
Right. Did Matt kind of say he would grab that one or? Because what we should do is we should have emergency services actually spend time at each location and.
I don't think anyone kind of grabbed that. No one really grabbed it. And I do think.
Okay, so that should happen.
Yeah, and being at the center, I think that's a valuable information. It's always been a concern of mine.
Sure.
Do you have one of the resuscitation devices?
We have an AED.
Okay.
Yep. But, right now it takes a matter of minutes just to get them, there's always a cop in there with 2 minutes or less, but.
Usually when they do DRT, I don't know I assume they're gonna do that for this as well. The issues are about the fire lanes and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It isn't so much about transit time, so to speak, to a particular site, but this is certainly worth at least addressing. But that's been my experience anyhow, is that the, issues might be about, can the fire truck turn around, can it get access, that sort of thing. Has been what I've seen in the CPDC DRT reviews that I've been involved in the past.
In the infrastructure requirements at Simon's Way, will require differential road access. There's no way that
Yep.
a big vehicle could turn around there now. Unless you could connect the loop potentially, but it needs to be reviewed.
Okay, Nancy, did you have?
Yeah, I did. I had two things from that meeting, which I thought was an excellent meeting. It was very worthwhile, and it was really positive to see the permanent building committee members get involved in the detail. But one point is, in terms of the makeup of the building committee, someone needs to go back and really look at the bylaws. Because I looked at the bylaws today, and it was someone at the meeting, Mark, you said 3, and then someone else said, no, it's 2. Well,
Yeah,
when
town manager read the actual bylaws.
Last night.
No, not at the permanent building committee.
Oh,
meeting.
right. No, at the select board meeting last night.
No, but what I'm saying, it does say 3 in the bylaws. So we just want to make sure that we have the correct number there.
Agreed.
Because we so that needs to be looked at. The other thing was, by putting an owner's project manager in here, as well as we've got the permanent building committee, it adds some more complex layers of management and process. And I know that for BH+A, we had formed a small work group with representatives in order to bounce ideas off and to provide guidance to BH&A. And I'm not certain where that would fit into this process, but I think it's something we really need to consider. Regardless, I am going to be on that. We really need to consider that.
So the guiding project group will be the newly formed ReCal building committee.
No, I know that, Mark, but what we're losing is a direct voice in the process. ReCalc is going to sunset. If you were going to stay, ReCalc would be losing their voice, and Council on Aging is losing their voice. So I don't think now is the time or the place to figure out what to do about that, but it's a real concern. So I think it's something that needs to be talked about further. I understand the whole process and how it's set up, but there's definitely, we're losing in this process, and we're missing out. So anyways, I think it's something, we don't have to talk about it tonight, but it needs to be talked about.
Yeah, I don't see how you could be talking about a center that's going to be primarily for seniors and not have Council on Aging representative on it.
Well,
I mean, that's
no,
like, you say the school committee, but the school committee, that's because the largest buildings have always been schools. Library's been the only exception I can think of.
Well, so a couple of immediate things. So you can certainly share your desire and concerns with the appointment committee for the permanent building committee. So that's step 1, right? Let them know. You heard me last night in terms of what I thought. And it really is up to that committee, the appointing committee, to select individuals. So I would share your specific concerns with them quickly to get things started. At
Right,
minimum.
but
And that's not saying you don't want to do other things, but at minimum, I'd start with that.
thank you. I will do that. but I also think, having, I don't know, we need to figure out if it's 2 or if it's 3, and how that might impact who is selected to be on that committee. So I just,
already sent it
something
over to
to
town
think of.
manager.
Mhm.
Done. We'll see. Look,
All right, so moving on. So now the slide presentation.
So who has,
Going to bring up Ron.
has the consolidated
To Ron.
version?
yeah, and if you can control from here, that's probably the best.
Yeah. And I'm
Probably the
sorry,
counter type.
I'm sorry, but I have to run. I know you guys will do a fabulous job on the deck.
Thank you, Nancy.
I'll leave you with that.
Thanks, Nancy.
Bye-bye.
Really quickly, I'm gonna, on my Zoom screen, I'm going to minimize people, so if you have a question, please speak up. I may not see your hand raised. So if that's okay with everyone.
You can minus the Zoom.
No, open that one. Sorry, we got 2.
Oh, you got 2 different, oh, there it is.
Okay, go back to the beginning here.
So I took a pass at things based on what we'd worked on last week and the discussion we had last week. I also went to a white background
I like it.
and then threw it off
Yeah.
to Ron to go from there.
I like it better.
But is that the scene you want to have?
So I only had limited set of pictures.
Oh, okay.
And what I wanted to do, so I started out with like the bullseye, which didn't fit. And I wanted people,
Mhm.
and this is cool, and it may be that we want to have a couple of pictures. Well, this is a good discussion. What do we want to have there?
I actually like it. I think I think you're right, showing people. And actually showing, this is a multi-generational picture.
Big time.
So I like this
Yeah.
picture.
It's interesting because
And it's crowded.
Yes. Yeah, I,
well, the good news is too, that it's intergenerational now,
yeah,
you know?
Right, this is a today thing, right?
Yeah.
I think it does a good mix. I think it's a good picture. It's crowded.
crowded in a good way.
It's nice because we have some younger folks, but we have a lot of older folks in it. And I do know of some disabilities, so I don't think a lot of people wouldn't know, but people in the community might be able to pick that up. And I know I do. So,
And it's during the holidays, so.
It's right, it's a holiday. Yep, got the Christmas tree in the background there. Get the Christmas.
Somebody make a plane, basically the Christmas tree.
The snowflakes on the. I know, you can't win, Mark.
Oh, I had those discussions at work before, years ago. That was.
I like the, let's move on.
So I modified a little bit. I like the idea of having the presentation overview, the agenda. Second slide, Chris. Second
all
slide.
right, second slide.
So this is a good idea. Here's what we're gonna talk about, right? And then go right into it. Reiterate the mission of Recalc page 3.
So I just, you go back just 1 second. So what I did is I got rid of kind of the old agenda that was there. I looked at kind of the slides and the order we put them in, and I took those topics and put them up.
Yeah, no, well,
Yeah, we can play
we
with,
can play with this one.
Yeah. okay.
Put the mission up there, put that all by itself as something. Then I put the committee members on a separate slide, just so everyone knows who's in there. And Mark, I know I think this is a build slide, Mark. Do you want to
It
continue with
is.
the build?
I'm a build kind of guy.
Yeah.
I like to keep people's eyes focused.
Yeah. So we can decide if we want to do the other ones as build as well too, but.
So, I had a question. So I in the slides I sent you,
Yes.
I I went back and I found some of the old slides that we used that had a ton of pictures and other things on there about drawback to the PSC. So I just present that as an option, as an alternate for this.
Yeah, or maybe more. As in, you kind of have, you can talk about some things and show a bunch of different examples of it, if you will.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So I'm, this isn't necessarily a slide thing, but so the statement of that there's less than 2,600 square feet of programming space, it's a pretty important statement in some respects. My concern, however, is that you're potentially saying now we're gonna have what? 12, 14,000 square feet, you know where I'm going with this, right?
Yep,
Uh,
right. It sounds like you're taking a fire hose to water the garden.
Right. And I'm just a little sensitive to that. I mean, I was okay with the, 4,000, 5,700, whatever, those kind of numbers and compare, you overall space comparable, those, 2 or 3 times, okay. When you put 2,600 square feet of usable program space and you compare that against what you're gonna get, this goes back to the question I know Marilyn was asking, like, there's no way you're not gonna get more than, when you go there. I'm very concerned about that, how that would come across.
I think 4,000 feels better though.
Yeah, I think, well, it's just my perspective. I mean,
Would you change the word programmable, just say 4,000 square feet of space for current activities? Just so that,
I mean, you understand my concern. I'm just.
Yeah.
I'm just,
so let's go back. That's what it was before. It was 4,000 feet.
yeah,
And then we kind of came back to the kind of measuring things. And
May I throw 2 cents in?
excuse me?
May I throw 2 cents in?
Yeah.
The 4,000 square, I understand what you're talking about. The 4,000 square feet includes administrative space, so you're selling us short a little bit on how severe the problem is for actual program space. Something that I have found, suddenly I can see people's eyes registering, oh, I get it, when we've been doing the open houses, is when you talk about the program rooms only being able to accommodate about 12 people at a time, roughly. And our big room can accommodate 60 for sitting for a formal meal, but we want to be able to seat 120. And suddenly people, when it's people, they kind of get it of, oh, 12 people, that's not nearly enough when you talk about 7,700 seeing 8 people over age 60, even if only a quarter of them wanted to use the center, 12 people in the class is just not going to cut it. And I just find they connect better when you translate it into people, if you can do it.
Okay, Nora, you have something?
Yeah, I guess I don't understand the issue with this, because I think the major issue is that it's such a small facility. And I thought that's what this is
Right,
getting.
I think that the point that John Sasso is making is that by saying 2,600 and then we're looking for 22,000 or 23,000 square feet, people are saying, well, couldn't you get along with
that says
12,000?
Yeah, so it's 20.
That would be still a big upgrade. So.
Can you get along with what? I'm sorry.
Why couldn't you get along with, if you only have 2,600, if you tell them? Somebody may say, well, why couldn't you get away with just having 12,000? Why do you need to have just 23,000?
Right.
But what are we really going for, I guess?
That is the amount of square feet that we're talking about.
2,400?
No, 23,000.
Oh,
well,
Yeah.
21, well, depending on the actual configuration.
We're looking at the slide from BHNA that compares the sizes, that actually lays out here's how much space you have for this, this, and this, based on existing at Pleasant Street, and then comparing to the 3 options.
well, I just think that we have to highlight how small this place is. I don't know.
No,
Do we have,
we are in complete agreement. We absolutely agree. we're just concerned with someone saying, oh, you have 2,600, now you're gonna go to 20,000 square feet, that's what?
Do
8, 9
you want to,
times
do you
the
want to
size?
be, do you have to be specific here? Can you just say severely limited programmable? space? Or do you have to be more-
No, people, I mean, I'm actually okay with the 4,500. I think that's the number there, right?
4550.
45, and I think it's reasonable because you're actually looking to supplant not just program space, but also admin and
Right.
conference space and interaction space and, I mean, all sorts of stuff. So I think that's I just like it better. I don't think it detracts from the message, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. I'm just afraid that if you put down such a small number,
Yeah.
people are gonna look at that and say, what? We're going from 2,600 to 20,000 square feet?
Yeah, but you're going from 4,000 to 20,000.
Well, that's, I'm actually okay with that.
I think the thing is, as long as, I think one of the important parts is, I think everyone, especially on Recalc and COA, and who's talking to the public, I think they just need to know. Maybe, and that doesn't need to necessarily be written down, but they need to know what the square footage is being dealt with. Because at FinCom, it was brought up from one of the members of the FinCom board is, why aren't we looking at the 6,000 square feet building over at RMLD and then just adding a gym? Well, we already have a 6,000 square foot building, but no one actually told that to them.
Yeah.
So the concern is we need to make sure we give the public and everyone else the correct square footage.
Well, that's
No.
why I'm really
Okay,
concerned.
yeah,
So
So I think, you know,
however you guys, however we
Yeah.
decide,
I'm in line with you, John.
I just don't.
but you know, we have a 6,500 square foot building. We have 2549 or 2249 square foot usable program space. But then we have 4,000 some when you add on the offices and, you know, the hallway
Right.
space. So we just gotta make sure when we give that information and people ask questions, we come back with the correct information. So,
Well,
you know,
And so that's clear. So the
Yeah.
question though is this is gonna go on a presentation that's gonna get put in front of the select board. And this presentation is gonna sit on the town website and people can look at it and they're not necessarily always gonna have the verbal discussion along with it.
Right.
I just wanna be sensitive to what we put on here. You could say, you know, current center, 6,500 square feet, less than 4,500 usable space to support program and admin and other required activities of the senior center. To me, that would be like a pretty clear communication, because then we can actually have something when people, because what people are gonna do, it's what I did, is they're gonna say, oh, let me compare that to where we're going.
I think
That's why I keep on bringing up, when I talk to people individually, that Wilmington had 12,000 square feet and found it inadequate. That's why they were going for a larger site. So it's not, you know,
Yeah.
we're not talking about something that's outrageous.
Can I make a suggestion of it, which actually supports this point very strongly? As I look at this more carefully, the numbers here are additive.
They are.
So in other words, they're saying the total area actually is 7,000 square feet.
Right.
The program, as they've defined it, as opposed to non-program,
Is
is 4,550 going to 21,000. So
Right.
that's the exact
Yeah.
number. And then non-program area, it's kind of 2X is what the recommendation is in here.
Right.
But I think the 4,550 would be great to use because number one, it's consistent with the other presentations. And I think, you know, the 5X number feels completely different from the 10X number.
Yes.
Does. Very
Oh,
much,
yes,
very
yeah.
much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
I would
Are we
strongly
making,
they
are we
would-
gonna make changes on the fly here or?
do you want me to change the 26?
Yeah, why don't you make it 4,550? And let's see.
And I would just get rid of the word programming.
Yeah.
And just, I would say usable, actually, I'm not sure, I would just say usable space.
I mean, that's probably accurate if you say usable space, because that covers offices, hallways, bathrooms, storage, everything but the mechanicals.
Cool.
Doesn't cover, you know, it's all the other things that the walls and the windows and, you know,
Yeah, and that also allows for this slide to be used.
Consistent, right?
So people can see exactly what the change.
Sorry about that. That jumped out at me when I was looking at
That's a
this.
good point. That's a good point.
The other thing, if I can throw 2 more cents into just, I know you all know it, but this is, current needs don't include a gym. And it's sort of 2 phases. How much space do we need? You're saying, why, if they say, why can't you get by with 12,000 square feet? A good part of the difference between the 12,000 and the, whatever it is, 16,000 is that gym.
Yep.
So you might say that, we're
How
trying
many
to
square feet is it?
broaden the inclusivity with the program, just to
Just under
explain.
4,000.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, hang on. Well, not fair because they combine some things with it.
Yeah.
So it's,
just so they sort of, it's a stepping stone thing. When we're doing more than just trying to replace the Pleasant Street Center by going to a Center for Active Living, and that's part of the extra boost, I would say anyway. And by the way, Nancy and I went to look at Wilmington today, and it took our breath away. The thing is mammoth, absolutely mammoth. I encourage everybody just to drive by and see what other communities are doing.
It's not open yet, is it?
Oh, no, it's in construction, but
It's in construction. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
it's well into construction, so you can see the magnitude of it. It's worth a drive by.
Okay.
okay.
Do you want to add in some of those other things from the other slide, or what are you thinking?
Or should it live with
Well, why don't we go through the rest of this and then we can
Yeah.
come back to that.
Yeah, in other words, should it go with what we're talking about?
Do we want to go more into that? Is more than just the senior center, do we? As far as if the space is a concern.
Well, that's it. That's the thing, is if this becomes a
Yeah,
dual center, I mean, part of that big jump of square footage is, well, we're not just Elder and Human Services, we're adding the rec offices.
So we have to remember where we are in this presentation. We're talking about where we came from and the fact that our priority was to meet senior needs. And we looked at the current building. I mean, this is part of the story. When someone's presenting this, whoever that might be, needs to kind of have this train of thought that here's where we started.
yes.
Here's the perspective about the priority for the group. One of the first things we did, because everybody asks, what's wrong with the current center? So we looked at the current center and here's what we found. This is nothing to do about what we're going to. This is just, where are we frame of reference in this presentation? So I think this is perfectly fine for this slide.
Okay.
Next slide.
Please.
So I borrowed a little bit of the next
Oh, good.
slide that came from the program and
No, this is
created.
good. This is,
Did a mix and match. Great.
yeah.
Next.
No, so just for a second, let's just walk through. So this takes us back to 2017, highlighting unmet needs, right? So the first study, right? 2021, Recalc is formed. 2022, I call it UMass new study, details need for programs and new space. And then I wanted to talk about 3 community forums, 4 stakeholder focus groups, 1,472 response survey. So outreach, right? 2022 select board prioritizes Recal, awards ARPA funds for feasibility and schematic design. 2023, so I kept the bolding in, we may want to take it out, whatever. The second study highlights current facilities and programs. Oh, no, so that's an overlap. So this is actually, they did the work in 22, they presented it in 23.
When you say select board prioritizes recalc, that's kind of an odd phrasing to me. I'm not sure what that.
So some of the questions that have come up in the past that I've been made aware of are, hey, this came out of the blue.
Oh, okay.
And, who's supporting it? Is it really a need? And the fact is that the senior community got $900,000 in ARPA funds.
Mhm.
Second largest allocation that was made. The schools got 2 million, senior community got 900,000. That's pretty substantial.
Yes.
And a commitment, I think, from the board that this is a priority. So I chose the word priority. Feel free to change it, but that's why I chose the
All
word
right.
priority.
So
That's helpful.
couple things. So the UMass new study details need for programs and new space. So those bullets that you have, I've added, so just highlight them in the consideration that we might want to take them out because they are in one of the slides that I put together after on the details. So just a consideration to think about.
Just for
Um,
space purposes, yeah, that's probably a good idea.
And then as far as where it says UMass second study highlights current facilities, I almost think that at that point really is where you want the decision by the select board to extend recalc to further investigate and perform feasibility. I mean, because that's really what happened at the kind of beginning mid 2023 was let's extend, because the recalc ended, we did our final presentation and recommendation, maybe, final presentation and recommendations, and then select board extension to next phase or something to that effect. And then you have hire BH and AI architects, which happened at the end of the year, to then move forward with the effort. So I guess that's what I was thinking, maybe instead of that, that statement.
So, I think what we could definitely do is kind of get rid of the top of 2023, to your point, swap it.
Well, I was
Get
gonna
rid
say,
of those.
change it. I would change it. I would
Yeah,
say.
sorry.
So,
Yeah, change those words, those out.
Recalc, final presentation, select board.
You want that deleted?
Yeah.
Yeah,
just
we're
highlight it.
gonna repurpose that.
Somewhere else.
Yep, okay. So now it can be, select board. I'm gonna say authorize, select board,
Extends
okay, extends
Work
work of recalc.
recalc charter or work of recalc.
Work of recap. Yeah.
And maybe it's a colon instead of kind of a sentence that says, feasibility study. Additional work on, or
I would say
specific needs.
consistent with the recommendations from phase one, from recalc, I don't know, something like that, right?
Identified needs.
Identified needs.
Identify needs. I like that.
You want to identify needs after this?
So first, it's gonna be feasibility study. So recalc should be a colon instead of a period. And then, so colon there, and then hit a full colon, do full. And then hit,
But I'd
Turn.
bulletize it after this, potentially.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Yep, so now hit return,
Yeah,
Bullets.
bullet. Yep, feasibility study. Oh, yeah, type it, it'll show up.
Oh, was it?
Yep.
Just put a little dash. Forget
I
about the
think you type
tab.
in that,
Probably, it's probably an empty
Somebody
bullet,
knows.
it's probably an empty bullet, that's what it is.
All right, feasibility study.
yes.
Why is it turned?
No, you can type it and then we can fix it. We'll change that from feasibility.
Bear with me, I'm just gonna write it and we'll fix it all.
And,
Also typo in extents, it should be extends, right?
yes,
Yeah.
we will definitely get it. So
Keep going, we'll go
feasibility is
back.
one, and, identified needs.
Bear with me, I'll go back and fix everything after we.
Okay.
Is there a third bullet point?
I think two is fine. You got a third? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking.
The only other thing that was missing from here was, I don't know if you want to bring it up, but we spent a lot of work.
Communication.
Communication. Yeah, third bullet.
What were you saying, Rob?
We spent a lot of time on Walgreens. There's a lot of time that Recalc did, so should that be
I know, but-
highlighted at all?
I
No, the
don't
other
know.
one.
It certainly was a major thing.
It definitely,
Sidetracked us.
you are absolutely correct, Ron. We spent time on it. Maybe more than we should have at this point, but that's hindsight. I'm not sure there's a huge value in,
I think that's the sort of thing we could talk to.
Okay.
mention.
All right, yeah, because there was like 3 months worth of time. That was a
No,
lot.
I know, no,
Yeah,
you're
yes.
absolutely correct, and I mean, there was some things that came out of that were actually good, that actually helped us
Yeah,
think a bit more about what our overall things were in each of those cases,
we
so,
were doing our preliminary schematic designs on our own.
yeah,
That was before the extension, right?
it was.
Yes,
Yes.
It actually was end of 2022, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Just so I know, are we going, at some point, going over the slides that you
We're gonna
sent?
come back to them, yeah, let's,
And then is it, are we gonna be able to mix these tonight, or is this something we're just gonna discuss and then later
we're
on?
gonna mix them, and then we're gonna let Ron do his magic to fix the formatting.
All right,
As close to done as we can be.
So can I, Ron, maybe do you, so you see how it says select boards prioritizes recalc awards opera funds? Yeah, never mind. I'm okay with
I mean,
that.
the reality is the Walgreens is largely the reason why we wound up at the wrong end of things. Instead of, but that's,
What if we do this? On the 2023 select board extends, what if we pull that down a little bit? So it's still on top of 2023, but put it close to 2023.
Right,
Yep, and now we're gonna put a new box above it. And the new box above it is in-depth exploration of Walgreens site.
sure,
okay.
that's good.
what was it again?
In depth,
In-depth. And hyphen depth. TH. Of,
exploration.
yeah, sorry, yeah, exploration of
Walgreens
Walgreens.
site. Yeah, I'm good with that.
In-depth, I think is in hyphen depth. IN hyphen D P H.
cool.
Yep, great. I mean, we'll end up cleaning up the 22 one a little bit more. And we can resize it later.
Okay, let's keep going.
Next slide.
Let's finish 2024 for a minute.
Oh, sorry.
PH&A.
Program space.
Feasibility study program needs space needs, multiple stakeholder meetings, multiple committee surettes. I was trying to make sure that this is very inclusive
Sure.
because of what we in fact did.
I'm fine with these bullets as you have them.
And then the last one under 2024 is recalc and COA align with multiple joint meetings to discuss initiatives.
Site evaluation and selection TBD, but yeah, that's fine.
Well, 2024, I don't think it's a bad thing to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
So aside from cleanup and the,
Because one way or the other, we're gonna be done. Recalc's gonna be done in 2024.
Next slide.
please. So, so Ron, it looks like you kind of took what I had built that didn't have the colorful graphics. Then you created that as slide 7, and this is.
Yep.
This is the one
This
that.
one, I didn't touch this one. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is what was provided by BH+A. This is the one that they
Right.
had done. So it adds town meeting vote and construction. It may be that.
Oh, okay.
So just, Good. So we don't need both. We need to figure out how to streamline.
Go back to the slide 7 for a second, please.
I could have 2015, enough room.
What if we take some of what's on 7, move it to 8 and get rid of 7?
Well, I was gonna say, just what if you took,
Or just add 25 and 6?
take 25 and 26 and move it here?
Can do that.
I could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just tell me what you
yeah.
want, just tell me what you want to keep and I'll resource.
Yeah. This is a definite PowerPoint jockey task, Ron.
Wait, can we go to slide, I'm on slide 8. What do you want to get rid of? And then I'll delete it and then I'll leave what you want to put on to slide 7.
Yeah, the problem is gonna be that it's,
Yeah, leave it the way it is. and
Yeah,
let 'em-
okay.
let 'em go.
this is a,
All
So
right,
just,
I'm gonna-
so what I want to do is just delete on page 8 what is a repeat from 7, then I know what to add, then I know where to put stuff.
So we're talking about essentially merging with slide 7 being the base, although you'll probably have to trim it, and then adding 2025 and 2026
Yeah.
with their simple bullets of town vote construction.
Just what I'm saying on 8, we have some repeats that's on 7. Can we just delete what you want? What's on the repeat that's on 8? So recalc, for instance, in 2021, we can get rid of that one because that's a repeat from 7.
Can I delete that?
I think
Are
so.
we keeping both?
Yeah.
Is that what-
Sorry, that,
No, we're gonna end
No,
up.
we're only gonna do one. I'm gonna redo this, just so
Right,
I
so
know.
why would we drop recalc then?
No, no, he's just from this slide here.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would, if I were you, Ron, I would.
I'll
keep
figure it out. I'll figure it out. I'll
I'd
figure it
keep
out.
both slides, and then that way you have them to
I'll
work
figure
off.
it out. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I got it.
could I suggest just on 7? And in the headline, which says recalc timeline, just add to that. At the very back of it, yeah, click there, or in the, yeah, add to it, space, add 2025 and 2026. Maybe that's the easiest way to think of it.
And 2015 too, right? I mean.
Yeah, do we want to add 2015 with this MAPC piece?
Yep.
Sure,
Yeah,
and 2015.
Yep.
And can I suggest, you're gonna need to go to much smaller type, so maybe we.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep, yep.
Trim the words.
Yep, you know, again, what you may want to do is. I know you want to get a lot on a slide, but. You
you don't
just
want it too small.
to some keywords and things like that and put things in the notes.
Yeah, yep. Okay,
stay, I'm going on 9.
I thought this just merited its own slide.
Keep going.
So I don't know if you want that to be the slide.
With the images popping
Yeah.
on, why don't we do that?
Okay.
Are you able to open up my presentation at the same time on this, just to look back and forth?
Yeah, I have it open. I just need to,
To arrange all windows.
Can you arrange it, or can you just swipe up and look at it? I know how you want a Mac? No.
yeah.
Click on view if it's open.
What am I doing wrong here?
Click on view, move your mouse up to view and see if the window's open. See where it says switch windows? To the right, to the right.
The other right.
Oh, there it goes.
Click that. There you go. See, and I don't even use a PC anymore.
I don't either, John.
Nor do I. It's been a long time.
It's up, but it's not up on the,
It's still loading.
I think you have to,
Reshare the screen.
yeah,
reshare. You know, I'm just gonna do it the easier way here. Hold on. Where'd my sheet? Sure go. Sorry, all.
Michael's laying down.
There we go. You want the first slide?
Yeah, go back up top.
There we go.
Not that one, but the next one. There you go. So
Yeah,
this
that's
is
good. Yeah.
This was the one we had before.
Yeah.
Thought it was, it's nice to see the images, so when people look at the deficiencies, they can have something to point to.
So you can just copy that slide and copy it into the other slide deck.
yeah, undo, yeah, click Command, Control C.
Actually, you know what? Ron, do you want him to just insert all of these into the other prep? thing?
Yeah. And
Put 'em
then
on.
he'll have to share it because it won't go through email. We'll have to put it on a share drive.
How many slides are here?
7.
How about just for tonight?
That first one you can get rid of. That's just, it's an old slide.
Oh, sorry, guys. End of the day.
Yeah.
Bear with me just for 1 second. Come right up. All right, here we go. All right,
I'll
all
fix
the
it.
slides are now into this slideshow.
I'll fix those.
Okay.
So can you, grab now go to the bottom, just go to the very bottom. Actually, up, bottom and then up 5 slides. So all the way, no, all the way. Oh, sorry, where did you put, so scroll up a couple of slides maybe. So slide 10. Oh, and what's the one right above it? No, you already have it in the right.
That's the one we wanted it in, right?
Yep, you got it.
Yeah,
You can get rid of that. Yep.
that's gone. So you got this one. Then you
So,
got that.
Can I suggest? We've already mentioned some of these deficiencies. I think that the headline from the slide you deleted is actually the right headline,
I think so too.
and then we can add images to it. Yeah, so could you make a note on this one, just say, hey, add images from next
I was
slide.
gonna say, add the images from slide 10 to this slide 9, and I think you're.
Yep.
I think you're good. I think that would be a nice slide.
Great.
All right, so you got that one, then you have this one, that'll be out of that one. Then we have 11.
So no, so this actually probably should go to the bottom for a bit. Do you want to take?
Well, hold on, what's slide 16?
This is the users, defining the users, so key findings.
Okay, so we wanted that one next.
Is this a better?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes,
So put that out after 10.
yeah, put 16 after 10.
That's 16 after 10. There.
Okay. And then, so the next couple slides were, in my mind, community forum survey results, center visits. New center guidance, I'm not sure whether we need or not, but for the moment, the community forum survey results in the 15 centers. Those basically represent the 3 core things we did in phase 1.
Right.
And so what I tried to do was distill them down. I took some of the old presentations and tried to make them more streamlined. So if you go back up to slide, what is 12 now? Can you go back to a regular show?
Never very sure. 12.
So this is where I talked about, we held three community forums. The general feedback was getting better communication. And then these were kind of the outputs from the community forums that we summarized. So again, part of the stream of consciousness in this story is, okay, we recognize there were deficiencies. We brought on UMass to do a study and we put Recalc together and we wanted to solicit input from the community. And one way we did it, we're holding the community forums. The next thing we did is we did a survey where we got 1,472 responses. And then the third thing is we wanted to check in with and benchmark other centers, and so we visited 15 local centers. So that's kind of the story of these 3 slides. And slide 13, if you click on that for a minute, one thing I did here is the intention of this is not to go through the survey in great detail, but I thought just, okay, we did this survey, 1,400 responses. It's what I was focused on. What were some of the questions? Well, we got some feedback on where they would like the center, on what sort of center it would be, whether they would use it or not, and how much they'd be willing to spend on it. So, it's kind of just like, we're not trying to delve too deeply into any of these particular topics, but just to refresh everybody's memory about the types of information that we were getting and what we put into this. So,
I think this is great. The only thing I'd suggest is adding up who responded.
there's a demographic piece we can add to that. Yep. I didn't pull it out, but we can do that.
So I think that would be my next question.
Yep, I can do that. And then slide 14, this is the center visits. This formatting needs to be fixed. Again, the intent is not going through the details of all this, but just to say, we went and we visited these centers. We looked at what sort of buildings they had. We looked at what sort of programs they had. We focused a lot on food prep and meals because that's a big need. We looked at the operational costs of the centers. We looked at transportation and parking, and we asked them, what did they think they were missing? And just generally kind of, this is the type of information that we collected during phase 1.
This is a really good slide.
And then that led to slide 17, which is our recommendations to the select board. I don't think we need 15. I left it in there. That was a slide that we had before. You guys can decide whether you want to keep it or not.
Thanks, Marilyn.
Okay, Marilyn, thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank
so I
you
don't know-
all, thank you all of you. You're doing a great job. Anyway, good night. I'm looking forward to seeing the final product, but great job. Thanks.
Me too.
Yeah, I bet. Okay,
We're getting it.
okay. Good night.
Good night. So I don't know whether you want to keep this or not.
Can I suggest that if you go down to 19, just show 19 for a second? A little different.
It is different.
Yeah.
It actually was based on all of this stuff, what sort of center do we really need? And how are we gonna make it happen?
Right.
It is a little different slant, but you can, suggestion, leave it there for the moment. If you guys decide you just think we don't need it, we can
This
take it
is
out.
like priorities is what we said that we've,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah. So obviously formatting wise, we can fix this, but let's go back up to slide 14 or 13. Okay. I'm sorry, go one more up. Apologize. Okay, so 12, 13, and 14. We're okay with those slides based on the story. Does that make sense?
yeah. I think-
Ron and Michael, are you guys on, and Nora?
Yeah.
you guys
Yeah,
think that
I think
makes
that
sense?
is great.
Okay, we'll fix 13, we'll fix the formatting on 14.
Probably cleaned up the formatting on all of them.
Yeah, no, I know.
Oh, yeah, I gotta go through.
And then for the moment, leave 15 there as a placeholder. Whether we keep it or not is a question.
Do you want me to make a note of that?
With 19?
Put in the notes, yeah, placeholder, yeah, that's good.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the slide because it does actually tell some other things, but I'm not sure it's necessary. So. And then the next slide is 17. 16 is gonna move later. Go back to slide sorter for a minute.
Are you gonna move 16?
Yeah, I'm gonna move 16. No, we're gonna do it right
We're
now.
gonna do it.
Oh, you're gonna do
Right
it.
now.
Okay, sorry.
Go to slide sorter, please. Top left. There you go. And let's move slide 16 scroll down.
Sorry, hold on, I gotta just get everyone out of my way. Sorry, I'm multitasking, trying to make sure anyone has questions. I'm watching that and then I'm
No, it's
changing, so
fine.
y'all know.
We're putting a big burden on you, so don't worry.
So where are we at?
You see where it says placeholder for phase 2 work?
Which
That's
foot?
slide 16.
Okay, that's slide 16.
Nope,
Nope.
Other way around.
yeah, undo that if you can, or put it back, undo it, okay. Now take 16,
Okay,
And move it after project priorities for recal. Move it after 19.
there we go. All right, so that goes down here to there.
And then you can delete slide 20.
yep,
Well, yeah, you can delete it.
Delete it.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Okay, so now let's go back to 16,
Do you want to go back to the other view?
please.
16, there we go.
So 16, I think is perfect. This is what we recommended, so I feel we should keep that. 17. This is the additions to the charter. Again, this is kind of the next step. After we presented our recommendations, the select board agreed to extend recalc and add to the charter, and here's what they asked us to look at. And then the next slide is, this priority slide actually came out of the phase 1 work. That's okay here, because we can say this is what guided our decision making. And then the next slide is, so in phase 2, we've really done two things. The first thing is we've done some additional site visits and we need to fix the formatting, but I just tried to pull some information together. I thought, like I said, I think there's some nuggets of info here, but I thought the point was, so why did we do this? We went to some more sites. We really wanted to get a better understanding of financial, programmatic, and transportation issues. That's what you had asked us to do. And we wanted to continue to learn how other centers are engaging with the community. And I think that, that whole process is an ongoing process. This isn't the end of it. But this information is, I just think it's something more to build on. I don't necessarily think this information is a PBC feasibility study thing. I think it's more kind of elder services, ongoing operational, how do we make some of these things work? How do we finance certain things? How do we deal with transportation? Because we know that these are all going to be issues that are going to have to be addressed moving forward. So I just thought it would be good to continue to show that we've been doing more work than just the feasibility study.
I would probably not have this slide at all, but if we do, like Burlington, I'd have to go through my notes, but there was a lot more in Burlington, and I know the budget was greater. Pretty sure the staffing, they had.
Names from the notes that I got just recently.
No, I understand that, John. And like, for example, the transportation, they got money from Leahy.
Yep.
That kind of, there certainly was more there.
I just tried to pull, I didn't try to put everything in.
Right.
I just wanted to have, some examples of things that we found and that are work. By the way, the reason this is broken up is I was trying to have this in 3 columns, so that's why the formatting looks all weird.
so we should,
To me, this looks like almost like an appendix slide in some ways. I don't know, but I know what you're trying to do, what you're trying to say, John, but just.
I think it would be great if so first of all, you and I should add Randolph and come up with a couple of things, but what I think we want is maybe 3 bullet points per center that relate to what we were exploring.
Just a note, Wakefield is right in the middle of expanding their center as we speak. So they have this entire building, which is an old school, up until a month ago, maybe 2. They just had the first basement and the first floor. And the town just approved 400,000 in ARPA funds to give the 3rd and the 4th floor to the senior center. I don't know if that's helpful information, but
That is helpful, so,
Yeah,
they just doubled their
So-
space.
so I agree that, like, a lot of these details just are way too much for this slide. I don't disagree with that. I threw them on here because I wanted just to say, okay, we've learned some things. And to Mark's point, maybe the answer is we just list the 3 or 4 centers that we went through and a couple key points that we want to pull out. You know, these guys have done an awesome job with transportation. These folks have done a great job with meals. These guys, I mean, what, just a couple points that I think would be, you know, continue to show that we've, you know, we haven't stopped looking at what other centers are doing. I think the other piece, and Chris, I hope you and Jenna would agree that by doing this, you guys are continuing to, you know, form your networks with these other senior centers and understanding what things can be done and what programs work well.
We are, it's a little bit challenging because the local one, we're doing a lot more than the ones that are kind of closer by. Which, you know, it's the larger centers that we kind of have to look at, for what you were just saying. So it's a little bit of a challenge, but we are keeping our network and keeping, constant communication.
I guess I put it in here as, again, as trying to address that placeholder. I think this, we need to put something here. What exactly, you know, I've taken a first stab, feel free to cut away at it.
I suggest that there are 3 things to highlight by center, if we can. 1, budget and staff.
Yeah.
2, space and expansion, you know, something, how much space they have, what's going on, are they expanding, did they just expand? And 3 is something about transportation.
So I definitely think 1 and 3. I think the question about 2, we didn't actually go out with the objective of number 2 this time around. Our objective was more programmatics. So and that was our charter. So I actually think if you want to do a program, there was some really interesting program comments in there, by the way, you know. They wanted drama programs, then they had musical presentations and entertainment. I thought that was a piece that, you know, I mean, maybe it's not that we hadn't heard it before, but it actually sounds like these centers are actually doing some of that now and getting good traction on. So I think those are the 3 things that we were asked to do. So I'd like to demonstrate that we've
What were
been.
they again? The transport.
Budget and staff,
Right.
Budget and staff, okay.
program, transportation.
Do we want to mention, because I like the other, it was in the other slide as far as total budget and what was it? Cost, it wasn't based on cost per senior.
The other one I had, I had
Yeah, yeah.
space, cost. May have been staffing in that other slide. You can go back and look at
No,
it.
so that, yeah, so I thought that was really good. But in both places, who's ever presenting it should highlight the fact that when we're talking about the budget for Reading, it's a combined human services elder budget.
What's those Needham?
Right, and like Needham, for example, their $2.5 million budget covers health and human services, youth and family, aging and veterans. So
Yeah, so that's. but
You
see,
can't
that's
compare
also
that,
the
right?
same line.
Right, no, that's the point. That's why you have to.
I'm saying almost all the others.
Yeah.
And the other slide, which had the 15,
Yeah.
that's gonna be based on their elder budget, their senior center budget.
Yeah.
And ours isn't.
I
Staffing.
I think that's fine. I think if we answer those questions in bullet points for, you know,
Yeah.
for what we have for each is all we
And,
need.
and if you want, you got a placeholder for, something unique or, stand out.
Yeah.
If there's something outside of that area. So, what if, can you just put a little, it's under where it says click add notes at the bottom?
Yep.
Reduce to these 3 points, colon. Budget and staff. budget and staff, comma, programs, comma, transportation.
Yep.
And I would suggest also, before you're still there, period, we should add Randolph, which you and I can talk about, Chris, how to do that. It sounds like truthfully Wilmington has happened in some way, shape or form. If there's something there, we should add it. And if there's not, don't.
that was in the
Mark,
original.
what about meals? Was that on the programs or?
Meals was not a specific topic.
Okay.
So in some cases, we see it here, it looks like. In others not. But that
And I
wasn't
wanna, I
specific.
wanna tell the select board, we listened to them and we did what they asked in
Yeah.
some respects.
Yeah, and it's interesting though, transportation, we didn't even have to ask. I mean, when you, even the original 15, transportation kept on coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
Although we do need to keep in mind though, writing special with transportation, because we don't technically do the medical transportation, which is a huge part of all these other centers' transportation. So we've got to keep that in mind.
yeah, but the medical transportation here is severely limited to as far as income.
Well,
It isn't
anyone,
in a lot of these other places.
well, so it's not anyone, it's not restricted, it is.
It is.
But if you're over a certain income, you just have to pay a little bit. So anyone with an income can sign up. It's just under a certain income, it's free or very low, and then above that, it's just costs a little bit more.
Are there a lot of people that don't get it for free that use it?
I mean,
Because I've never seen that advertised, so I don't think anybody would know that.
So we're not flushed with like, hundreds of people standing at the door knocking. Because we're still a community, like most people at the center, when we survey, they drive to the center. So the majority of our participants still drive.
So that's why most people not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
But I
but,
think this is an internal issue.
yeah.
Not so much for this presentation, I think.
But I'm just saying that if we're gonna compare these other centers,
This isn't,
yeah,
No, it doesn't.
this isn't about that
yeah,
person yet. This is about, this almost to some extent is like, this is all this information that's been collected over the last 2 years has led us to go down the path of a center.
oh, yeah,
But as I've said, the center is just the building. All the other pieces that have to be there around it, this is part of that. And, we haven't solved any of those pieces yet. We're just collecting more information to figure out, what things can we do?
Yep.
I think the good news is that you have experience because of the ARPA money to show that you're doing a lot of fabulous things at the center, I mean,
We're-
so.
we're doing more than, and also what we're doing them more than any other center pretty much, comparing to the big ones. And our numbers are, right now I'm bigger than Somerville when I was in Somerville.
Mhm.
Yep.
Number wise. So, I mean, and I don't think a lot of people understand that. People don't understand what point we're at.
Right, but you don't want to be,
Yeah,
I mean, that's good,
yeah,
credit to you, but.
Yeah.
For purposes of, the reality is, here's you doing it, and you get very little space.
yeah.
So what could you be doing? How many more people? If you had a reasonable amount of space.
So I'm gonna have a stop in a little bit. Can we just look at the rest of these to see what else we have here?
Quick question. So it says Ed Randolph, can you just say possibly Wilmington, possibly Andover?
What about Wilmington?
In terms of a comparison.
Oh, we have that. That was one of the
Was one of
15.
the early ones?
Yes.
We going back to the new,
I went.
Yeah,
The new one isn't built.
so what was Marilyn talking?
She was just saying she
She
drove
went
by.
Size of the building.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, skip
yes,
Wilmington.
Yeah, yes.
Andover?
Oh,
We've talked to Andover numerous times. I don't think Jen was supposed to get us information, but I don't think Jenna ever got the information.
I think we went to Andover the first,
yes,
Yeah, I think,
yes,
we did,
yes.
but I think they've changed it a lot since, in the last 2 years, I think it's kind of new and improved, or they opened something new, and we have a great connection to the director.
Yeah.
And it turns out my colleague is about to be the chair of the COA. So we have great connections there to get whatever we want. He already invited me for a visit.
Yeah, my oldest sister, she goes there all the time.
Yeah,
The senior center.
so I don't want
Yeah,
to,
what happened is they had a building that there was competing interest,
they got to,
they compromised. And so that the seniors had the whole first floor,
Is it-
large space.
Wilmington,
And then-
mark end of a question mark. Sounds like Wilmington we just killed, actually. How about end of a question mark?
Yeah.
And kill Wilmington.
Okay.
Kill Wilmington.
Did we ever get any information on North Andover?
Not that I'm aware of.
They,
Because they have that new center.
they have a new center. I just looked it up the other day. I don't have any more information other than a nice picture of it.
Let's roll on. Okay, so 20. So 20, this is something I created for the financial forum. I think you
Yeah,
did disappear.
I'm not sure. Well,
Out,
yeah, let's get rid of it.
delete.
Sorry, Mark, I'm not as allowed to okay, I can do that. Thank you.
Just don't break the computer in the process. Okay,
So these next couple slides were,
so this, I think it needs to be cleaned up, but there's some interesting stuff here, particularly point 3.
Yeah.
And engaging other stakeholders. That was more talking about how we've started to involve a lot more of the community volunteer groups. Ranging from historic to recreation to PBC to whatever.
Do we highlight the recreation any place? Because to me, that's the important ingredient.
I think in the 21, can you grab 21? So you changed my 21, Ron. And so.
I did. So, I put the 60+ community center there. I put intergenerational accessibility to all the things that seniors need. Recreation, I put the pickleball in there, then I put the chips.
So this is interesting, but not what the intent of the slide was. So maybe we keep this, but it's a separate slide. This was talking about also specific things like the community health initiative, the chip you've got there, but. And then we talked about inclusion, so accessibility for inclusion. Okay, all right, I'm starting to see. Was recreation was one of them. Okay, so I see what's going on. Do you turn them into pictures rather than words?
Yeah, I did.
Huh,
just has to be talked to.
yeah.
I'd be okay with the slide like this as long
Oh,
as
you talked.
you talk to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Cool.
And
So
then-
this was kind of all background, and this was, for me, just was kind of a
Right,
a
this-
break. It says, okay, now let's do this.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so there you go.
Right.
There's a kind of comparison, you're seeing how.
And the
how
numbers match. That's,
Yeah, so it's really important.
Yeah.
Then I went to the site selection process we had. You can see each of the
Yeah.
3. And then I had a question. So here, do we want to bring in, we have more pictures of each. We could talk a bit more and show them something larger. But there were like 8 slides on each, which is like, holy.
Yeah,
so let me make one suggestion on that. And that is when we make the recommendation, we can put a picture or 2 with that for the recommendation,
That
but
sounds
I
good.
wouldn't do it
Yeah.
for the rest of them.
Yeah.
because it's-
But can I just put them all in the appendix? So that if somebody says, can I,
okay, yeah.
what did that look like? Whoever's there can grab it. It's at the back. What I ended up doing, folks, is I created a second presentation of the appendix. So the thing was too big to email. So I cut all the extra slides off and stuck them in a second presentation.
No, that's a good idea, though, to have the others,
Yeah.
just when we.
So here's one for Pleasant Street with Jim, so you can see it a little bit more detail. So actually, it's just blown up from what's on the previous slide. Here's Simon's Way and Oakland Road Simons. So actually, there should be an Oakland Road one, I guess.
Yeah, there's no.
Rather than, and this is probably just a good point to say, hey, those are the same. Then I did, okay, the site options. So here you go.
Yeah.
Fire and police, here's the locations, the one we
It's a
talked
good
about.
sli- Good slide.
Yep. 29 was basically just saying, hey, we looked at a pile of stuff. All right, those are the spreadsheets, and 30 is, and here's what we looked at.
Yeah.
30. And narrowing down sites, we'll see if it's there or not. Not a terrible slide to have.
So that slide's 30, by the way, you could talk to it in 29.
Yeah.
And not, you could have it as a backup, but you could talk
Yeah.
to it in 29.
Included
without
things
having-
like
Yeah,
Yeah, so
but that depends on who's presenting.
when we leave it for now, and then we can, next pass can chop or decide what to do. Historical, PBCI updated engaging now before its solicitation is finalized, meeting with the butters. Okay, site benefits, so this was the pro con.
Right.
So benefits, drawbacks.
Yeah, I did, instead of pro con, I did drawbacks and benefits.
Yeah, I'm just gonna, all right, where are we now? PBC agreed to take on the program. Recalc Building Committee, PBC, 2 to 3 voting members for the project. So we'll see what that real number is for Nancy's comment. Sorry, can you go back one for a click? PBC considers about testing, soil Simon's Way, others timing TBD. So I think we can update this as we learn a little bit more. This is kind of where it is now. The other question is, and you brought it up before on, I'll call it other considerations, and it came up at the financial forum, for example, what sort of program costs, what sort of staff costs would be involved with a new center. I think that needs to, we can't answer it, but we need to say it has to be addressed.
Yeah,
guys okay if I-
I don't want to lose, I had this sitting in my back of my mind. The fact that over the last year, the Friends of Reading Senior, whatever.
460 plus, Friends of Reading 60 plus.
Friends of Reading 60 Plus has been created, and
Yeah,
it's an opportunity for fundraising and to support things like FF&E or things like that. So I actually think it's worth
Yeah.
at least mentioning, if not to put it in there somewhere.
I mean, for now, put it in where we are now, kind
Yeah,
of would fit there nicely.
I think that's good. Yeah, I like that, because I think back to your point, this just didn't come up yesterday,
Yes.
right? And I even had this conversation with, I think it was Carlo. I was like, you guys have voted all the way along. You've been supporting this, right? So these are priorities that we all agree on, right? So, yeah. No, I think it's important to show that all of this stuff is heading in that right direction, and people are making a commitment to move forward with this. So I think that's another good point to add.
The Friends group, by the way, is doing really well. They're collecting money. Which is really nice.
Yeah.
Love it.
They've gotten a couple of larger donations, which is really nice.
That's awesome.
I didn't even mention that. Not only has it formed, but it's
Yeah.
So they
working.
are,
And I'd even put the email address if you want
Right.
Contribute.
Yeah, if you want to contribute, so you go to whatever
to.
the
Hopefully it's
website
like
is.
460plus@gmail.com or something like that. It should be simple like
I
that.
forget what it is.
Oh.
I can't remember.
I'd add that one if they don't have it. Anyway,
It's
Alright.
Friends of Reading Seniors at gmail.com.
no.
Thank you, Nora.
Marketing help needed here.
We men need a lot of help.
Okay, anything else before John has to go, before we all have to go?
I think it's coming along nicely.
Yeah, I think so too.
And the fact that we're not
Could slow.
actually presenting next week or the week after, or whatever.
Well, I knew for you that was a bonus. So at some point, you have to decide who's gonna present it.
I'm not bringing my computer, by the way, when I'm going away. So I made that commitment to my wife. No computer. Yeah. When's the next select board meeting after that?
July. Talk about that in a
9?
moment. Hang on. Not the 9th, the 16th, July 16th.
Okay.
Ron, I'm gonna try sending this to you now.
Yeah.
Let me know
I
if you
can't
got
copy it
it,
too if you don't mind, please.
if you wanted to, John.
I would ask if you can.
One
send
way
it
to help,
Everybody.
one way to help reduce the size is, when you say file,
Right, go to, here, I'll show you.
it says files as compressed pictures.
Bring up the slideshow.
Yeah,
Open the
reduce-
slideshow.
I'm gonna find it again. I just closed it. My desktop.
You got way too much open on your screen.
Okay. No comments from the gallery.
We should,
File.
we should set up, I know it's hard to do, but if we set up a Google Drive or
If you
something.
do save as.
Mark, what time, when was the next
I
meeting presentation gonna
go
be?
back up there again.
Okay.
Sorry, presentation of which, Nora?
This,
To the select board, you mean?
yes. What was
So
the
the date
date?
is not defined yet.
Oh,
um,
okay.
We're kind of waiting on the PBC's cadence, which is probably going to be a function of soil testing.
So the earliest will be July 16th is what.
Yes, it's now removed from the June 18th meeting.
So Ron, can you tell Chris again which thing to look at? 'Cause it's
So,
not save
Press
as.
do
is it?
file. At least on the Mac, it does this. It says file,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not there.
and it says compressed pictures.
Is it too big to send already? Do you know that it needs to be compressed?
I don't know.
Why don't you try it? Because I think I got it small enough that it won't.
When
be-
when I got it, it was, when I compressed it, it was around 18.
I sent it to you on mail drop, which actually, I'd never used that before. That seemed to work. I basically said, oh, up to 30, send it this way.
Yeah, usually mine kicks out at 25.
25. That's what it did for me too.
I think mail drops.
While he's doing that, next meeting,
Yes.
Yeah. So we need to monitor PBC a little bit, a lot.
when are they meeting next?
I don't know.
Ron, let me know if you
Usually
do that.
first Monday. So I'm gonna say first Monday in July.
Okay,
That's the third?
July 4th week.
Did you send it? Chris?
First.
Yeah, I sent it to you.
I'm gonna guess that's their meeting. So certainly not before then.
Are they posted? Probably
I
not
don't
yet.
post until a couple weeks before, which is driving me batty.
Okay,
Because you need an agenda to post is the reason.
Yeah,
all right. So July 1st would be the first Monday.
Yeah. Let's guess that that's what it is for now.
so we shouldn't meet until after, right?
Well,
So hang on, so at the June 18th meeting, the select board needs to vote to extend the sunset date.
yeah,
I got it.
You got it?
Yep.
All right, I'll send it to everyone now.
Anything else that impacts us?
Thanks, Ron.
the only question I still have in my mind is what are you gonna do with BH&A at this point? What are they doing? And who's driving that train between now and decision time?
So nominally, Jenna leads it. So when is Jenna back? One more week?
Next Wednesday.
So,
What are you discussing? Sorry.
what BH&A should do next, BH plus A.
But didn't we talk earlier about the operations person being the one that's should be stepping in with them?
So as it relates to the schematic design,
Mm-hmm.
yes. While recalc still exists, it may be that we want to share guidance thus far. But I take your point, maybe the OPM should dig in now. So I don't know. I know they discussed it. I don't know if they decided. Did they take a vote and say this is how we're gonna do OPM? And who's that up to? Is it up to the town?
I think OPM was trying to go with GNAB.
Yeah.
But I think Matt was going to check with the council on, there's a couple questions on things, so he's gonna follow up with council, just to make sure.
Okay, I think we're okay. I did have a meeting with town council about this with Matt a few weeks ago. But let's get.
Okay, our next meeting.
So why don't we plan something for after that next PBC meeting? It might be a short meeting.
Yeah.
It might be a longer meeting. But it's probably good for us just to get together and chat. And that's well before the select board meeting, so we can figure out if there's anything to figure out. It's also, if suddenly things are like, boom, we could respond. And if they're not, then the next select board meeting is in August. And it is August.
So you have the 16th and then the next meeting in August sometime,
20th of August. is
August
the
20th.
Next meeting.
Which probably seems, well, to me, it seems that's gonna be
And-
more realistic, right? Because
I would
the
say.
first of July, PBC is not gonna.
Yeah.
If that's.
They'd have two more meetings, the PBC conceivably.
Yeah,
And that may allow time to So, I mean, the money question should probably get resolved before June 30th. Because if there's any fiscal 24 money, we should use it.
Mhm.
All right, I'll chat with the town manager. See what's
Okay.
up.
All right,
Do you
so,
wanna- do you want to meet that July 4th week? Or are people away?
I'm not
I'm
away.
away, I'm away.
It would be, it's but for posting purposes, it would be better if it was the next week, because then we would know whether or not. For our agenda, we have to have the agenda.
Week of so I might actually be out of town, but I could do it remotely, most likely,
Okay,
You're talking about like the 10th.
the 10th.
I may have to be remote, but I can join.
so we're talking about July 10th, people?
July 10th.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be all right with me.
All right, Mike?
I'm pretty sure I'm clear on that, but I thought I was clear tonight, so.
Nora, how
Yeah.
about you?
Okay,
So let's do recalc, question mark.
July 10th.
Yeah, and you won't be, but Jenna should be,
Jenna will be back, so we'll both probably be here.
okay,
We'll both,
July 10th is the next meeting, okay,
6:30.
sure.
Um,
Oh, is that,
I was gonna say, so I might be on the West Coast. So can we do 7?
yeah, I can do 7.
I know I'm the one that drives for 6:30.
Right, so, yeah,
I,
7:00.
and that if I'm gonna be on the West Coast, I'll be done by 4, I hope, but, the folks in the hospital like to do early days, like 6, so.
6 AM, yeah. Yep.
7 works for me.
That meeting then.
No, we're not doing it at 6 AM.
I'll
6 AM West Coast.
do it from the OR on the computer.
No,
Not a good thing.
okay, so we good?
Good on everything?
All right, entertain a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Nora,
yes, agree.
Ron Alsini,
Yes, please.
Michael Coltman,
Yes.
Mark Doxer.
Yes.
John Sasso. Yes. John O'Neill, yes. Adjourned.
Ron, when you're done with your updates, will you send a copy to Chris?
Yes.
Yeah, another yes.
All right, I just sent everyone a copy of the slideshow, so it should be coming into everyone's email soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bet.